So everybody is talking about this.
You cannot go wrong. I'm home.
That's right, my friends. CM Punk returned to Monday Night Raw and he cut a promo, and I think everybody was expecting him to grab a microphone and go, screw AEW and screw Vince McMahon and I'm so angry, and go absolutely nuts. Now, he didn't do that, but I actually think in a few months we're going to turn around and look at this night and think to ourselves, my gosh, how did I not see that coming? So look, I'm mostly always wrong, so feel free to come back in 2024 and say, Simon, you don't know what you're talking about, which will be 100% true. But I suppose the CM Punk return promo after 10 years of absolute madness, I mean, there's so many stories, there's so much research you can do into this, should you have the time to do so, was always going to be a bit of a contentious issue, because once you are back into that system, what exactly are you going to say? He's not going to talk about the lawsuit, he's not going to talk about the Colt Cabana stuff or anything like that. For starters, because you confuse at least 75% of your audience. Don't forget, we are the geeks here. But also, it's a question of, given everything that has happened in 2023, I would assume, proving that WWE can work with CM Punk and CM Punk can work with WWE. But actually, when you dive into it and start looking at all the bells and whistles and the winks and the nudges, I actually think this was far better than people are giving it credit for. Now, look, a little one of those cards will just popped up on the screen. Make sure you do check out Ups and Downs over on What Culture Wrestling, where I go through all of Raw. But in terms of the last thing we did on the show, again, I think come the Raw Rumble, Seth Rollins and CM Punk are going to be whipping each other's butts. Because around about 30 minutes before Punk did do his bit, Seth Rollins deliberately goaded the crowd to go, CM Punk, or at least I bet he hoped this was going to happen.
I don't want to spend one more second, one more ounce of energy on that hypocrite.
And he said, right, are you done? I don't want to waste any more time on that hypocrite. And then CM Punk comes out and he goes, man, I love WWE. I'm paraphrasing here, and I love you guys, and I've missed you guys, and it's just going to be the best time, and everyone in the back loves me, and so on and so forth. Let's go skip through a field with peaches and cream. But then, as soon as he is done, he looks into the camera like I'm doing right now, and he goes, I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to make money. You'd be like, well, that's not what you just said. What the flub is going on? So I totally believe that WWE has now got into a pattern where they like to take their time over things. Let's take the Bloodline as Exhibit A. Now, some people may argue it's gone a little bit too long. I think that's an argument that you can have. But I would much rather we have elongated stories that we can emotionally invest in compared to what we used to do, which is, this doesn't really appear to be working after 3 weeks. Let's just drop it in the ocean and never refer it again. Then I have to wake up sometimes and I'm like, did I make that up, or did it actually happen? And you try and talk to people about it, but they're confused too, and then we all just have to stick our heads in the toilet. So if it does mean that you don't really get a massively hot start when we do start a new angle, I'm totally cool with it, and I think that WWE, again, especially over the last 12 to 24 months, has earned a little bit of faith, and they have earned a little bit of patience. So if this was Punk trying to present the best version of himself, where deep down he knows he's going to get back to sort of getting under people's skin and prodding the bear, and it's Seth Rollins that does confront him and says, man, I've been calling you out for years, bro. All you've ever tried to do is tear WWE down, and I bet you would get this line. I'm saying it right now. It's a Simon Miller guarantee, which means it'll be totally incorrect. You even went somewhere else to try and ruin World Wrestling Entertainment, and what happened? You had to come crawling back, and that's when you can get the CM Punk who can get really gritty and really nasty, and then bam, Bob's your uncle. We are going to have one hell of a good wrestling match, and I know that I'm going to be invested. And that is the thing, because if I have totally got the wrong end of the stick, I do deserve to have an egg thrown in my face. But if I am sort of sniffing in the right direction, it's going to make this all the better. It does mean, yes, you lack that initial adrenaline rush where you can just run around your room going, oh, I can't believe he said those things. But if this is the version of CM Punk I need at the start, so when we get to the middle and we get to the end and we get to the next feud, he has evolved and changed into something else, or dare I say it, that's mature content, and it's a little bit more adult than WWE used to do. Talking like 2019, 2020, when let's not forget that poured dog food over Roman Reigns' head and had a fake dog come to the ring. Burned into my brain, and it's always going to be. Let's face it, you're not going to tell Seth Rollins to mention CM Punk's name if you don't have some plans, and I've already dropped it once, I'll drop it again. CM Punk said, everybody in the back has been so pleased to see me. Well, almost everyone. And who could be the person that isn't very pleased? Well, I'm going to guess that it's Seth Rollins, and maybe, I don't know, R-Truth. Maybe they don't get on. But that is what I'm banking on here. And I don't think that Triple H is going to throw millions of dollars at CM Punk, not to get the most out of him. And nobody wants a sanitized version. Nobody wants a PG version, which is what everybody is going on about. But once again, it comes down to characterization, and it comes down to how you're going to evolve all this. It doesn't mean that you can't be disappointed in what you've got, not at all. But it does mean that if, like I say, when the weeks do go by, you have to kind of revisit these feelings and admit, oh, well, they got me. It was a little bit of a ruse. That's okay too. And I don't want to go off on a tangent here, here, but I kind of find like that's a little bit of an epidemic or a pandemic, whichever one it is, in 2023. It's most certainly epidemic in the sense the wrestling fans don't really want to be worked these days, and they kind of feel like if they have been worked, they've been done over, or they've been insulted, or they feel a little bit offended. I don't agree with that at all. Work me every single day, brother, and if I can, get tricked, whatever the right term would be, I'll be great. That's what I want. I can be like, oh, you did such a good job. I wasn't 100% sure what was going on, but now I understand it's the story. And usually that means you have given a little piece of yourself to this narrative. And once again, I'm going to bring up this word because there is no better word. Once you're more invested in it, you just care what's going to happen. Do not forget as well that Punk also mentioned Paul Heyman. I mean, not by name, but he referenced the wise man. So surely we're getting to the Roman Reigns stuff too. And because Punk does have this aura around him, I mean, that's why people talk about him all the time. You don't even have to do this with world championships on the line. So if Drew McIntyre is going to beat Seth Rollins, and we need to get that out of the way first, make it happen. And then when you get to the head of the table program, if he needs to lose his championship, which I do totally believe will happen at WrestleMania 42, Cody Rhodes, then there you go. We're lining all these guys up. Maybe Seth and Punk go all the way through to WrestleMania, and then maybe coming out of WrestleMania, the first feud we do, I said this on the video yesterday, ping, just picked up on the screen, is Paul Heyman leaving Roman Reigns to realign himself with CM Punk. And maybe that makes Punk a face, and maybe that makes him a heel. Maybe it's the catalyst for turning Roman into the ultimate baby face, which surely was always the idea once the bloodline has come to an end. And if you can kind of take that story that has been going on since 1791 and all of a sudden embark on a new one that you decided in November 2023 with key players, well, we have 52 weeks of programming a year, and I would massively rather that, again, than just coming up with things on the fly, not giving it enough time to stick, and then we move on to something else. Because then it really does feel like every single Raw and SmackDown is living in a bubble all by itself. And I don't want that. I want there to be that connective tissue. But again, there are no off-season when it comes to sports entertainment. So sometimes you do have to hold a little bit back so you can give more later. But once again, I understand. Some of you, if you're not into AEW, have been waiting literally, only been a couple of months off, 10 years for this. But it's about the greater good. So it's essentially Star Wars. But I just know that when I first watched it, I was kind of just marking out, as the term goes, because it was CM Punk on Raw doing a traditional Raw promo. And then, yeah, when it did end, I was like, okay, yeah, I suppose that was fine. But when I started actually diving into it and all these feelings were rising up inside of me, that's when I got excited. Now, yes, I'll be doubly disappointed if I have flubbed this up, but look at me. Flubbing things up is essentially my thing. Now, the most important thing you can do is absolutely get in the comments, because I would like to get a discourse going. Be nice, don't say anything horrible. And yes, I've got a beard at the moment. If you don't like it, that's perfectly okay. But my point is this. I would rather get a really interesting chat going so I can jump in there, and maybe we can take some points out of this, and that can then inspire another video. Sound good? Good. Also, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the bell, ding, ding, so you know when the notifications are going live. Always appreciate that. The other CM Punk video is on the screen. Give it a click to connect these two things together. You can also go to GorillaMind.com/Simon. You just go to Simon to get 10% off. These are the supplements I use in my fitness world. I think they're great. On Patreon at patreon.com/Simon316. Twitter and Instagram is Simon316. Simon J. Miller on TikTok. I'm on Cameo at Simon Miller. If you want some kind of shout out, always enjoyed doing those. Did a Christmas one today, which is somewhat terrifying. How did that come around? And merchandise is at Samson Athletics and Pro Wrestling Tees. There are links down there. You can get this stupid t-shirt too. 2 + 2 = potato. Remind you to stay on the straight and narrow. Don't know what that means. You take care of yourself, my friends. Thank you so much for supporting me as always. And just enjoy wrestling as best you can, because it's there to entertain you. So just be entertained. If you don't like it, go do something else. Take care. Goodbye.